if there is somebody who, when I heard him say what he said, I thought he really stepped up in a very fantastic way. That is, of course, Dave Chappelle. Now, there were a lot of different comments that he did make on his latest Netflix special. But there was one commentary that he made in particular that was a twofer. He didn't just go after Bill Maher, he went after Israel as well.
You know, and Bill Maher, the famous comedian, I've known Bill since I was like 18, 19 years old, and I've never said this publicly, but fuck that guy.
Now, there's not a lot of people that have, we'll just say, large platforms that are willing to come right out and make a statement like that. But I think it is imperative that if you're going to talk about the commentators in our media sphere, and particularly ones that are supporters of Israel, full stop, Dave Chappelle said what a lot of people are thinking, as they should. Do not be afraid. You know, again, to me, I think it's just a case of polite society. People want to be in polite society, so by natural inclination, they may not like Bill Maher. They may think he's a horse's ass, but Bill Maher is technically part of the club, and as a result, they don't want to rock the boat. But if there's one thing we've learned about Dave Chappelle over the years, he'll rock the boat full stop. He doesn't give a shit. And that goes for everybody across the political spectrum. I thought the way that he addressed the trans issue was probably one of the best I've ever seen, if not the best I saw, because it really got things to calm down as a result, and it desperately needed to at that point. And in this case, Bill Maher has been getting away with far too much for far too long, using his platform to spew absolute horseshit nonsense regarding the state of Israel, regarding the Palestinian people. And nobody has bothered to use their platform the size of a Dave Chappelle to say, hey, Bill, go fuck yourself. So it's about time somebody finally did it.
I'm so fucking tired of this little smug, cracker-ass commentary. These motherfuckers act like because I did a comedy festival in Saudi Arabia, I somehow betrayed my principles. Well, no, I know I didn't. I know. No. No, come on, everybody, let me do this. And I'm sure, I know, all right, now everybody calm down. Now, I'm sure I'm right. First of all, what did they say? They said, well, Saudi Arabia killed a journalist, and rest in peace, Jamal Khashoggi. I'm sorry that he got murdered in such a heinous fashion, but, and no buts, like, you know, period. And also,
he's making a very salient point here, which I think is important. You know, the thing that we have all observed over the course of the past 2 years, I mean, probably more so than ever before. And I say that because now everything is just out in the open. And because it's out in the open, we now get to see the full breadth of exactly how the Zio state thinks in terms of the value of human life. And as we all know, they believe that they are ethnically, culturally, religiously, and socially superior to everybody else. And so as a result, it is not surprising that when it comes to a person's life, when it is taken by the state of Israel, the Zionists make it out to be not such a big deal. And because of that, we are seeing the depths of their inhumanity, of which they have the most. So when he brings up Saudi Arabia, and again, we are not here to celebrate Saudi Arabia. Let's be very clear about this. What we are here to say is that the dehumanization of anybody who is not Israeli is on full display. And no more has that been obvious, and in a way that we never really spoke about it over the past 2 years plus. If there is an unheralded part of this entire situation that we've been living through, it is the murdering of journalists. It's happening every day, pretty much. Well, maybe not every day, but if you were to add it up, probably once every other day is how often a journalist is getting killed by Israel over the course of what's happened. And if you ask me, that's pretty effing bad. And we have an obligation to speak up about that. And somebody like Bill Maher, who, granted, I can't stand him, rarely want to cover him unless it's absolutely necessary. But when we do it in the context of here's why he's wrong. For example, the last time I ended up covering him was under a circumstance where he was being completely hypocritical about his position on free speech. And so I had the opportunity to juxtapose statements he's making today versus statements he made in the last decade to prove that he was lying. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to be making this statement over the course of this evening, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. If you can prove it, that's what matters. That's what it comes down to. Can you prove it? And what we've been able to prove amongst the shit-lib class led by the likes of Bill Maher is that they do not value human life the same when it is coming to somebody in particular like the state of Israel. And in the case of journalists, everyone was up in arms when Khashoggi was killed. But in the 240 plus journalists that have been killed by Israel, not a word, not even a concern. And I highly doubt that that's going to change anytime soon. Chappelle has a little bit more to say. I think we got frozen here for a second. Hang on, guys. Let's try this again. So I think we're having a slight technical issue here. But basically what he addresses at the end is talking about the fact that you have over 240 journalists coming out of Israel that have been, or that were in Israel, that were in Gaza in particular, that ended up getting murdered. And so as a result, this was no surprise.